Let's meet Inclusive Arts Media.
I'm Luz Maria Mack. I'm the founder of Inclusive Arts Media, and let me tell you a little bit about what I'm about. Meet Chloe. When my daughter got accepted into a private school in the Upper West Side, she was 3 years old, and although a lot of kids dream about being in this school, one of the things that really opened up my eyes was when she told me, "Mommy, can you dye my hair blonde and straighten my hair?" My daughter is half Dominican and half African American. And to many people, that's not a big deal, because you know, women, you want to be blonde one day, but at 3, that's way too young. And I wanted to do something for her to feel empowered and feel seen. Little did I know that the limited amount of diversity in children's books and content wasn't only affecting Chloe, it was affecting other people. So this is the diversity in children's books, and you can see this is from 2018 to 2021, and chances are that the numbers haven't changed that much for 2022. As we can see, the reflection shows higher on kids that come from a Caucasian background, as well as animals and objects. When we look for books, around that time, those were the stars of the show. We didn't see kids that come from our communities. So when you think about who's dominating the space, we need to think about who is telling the story, right? And why do these stories matter? Because they really impact learning. So when we think about some of the creators behind the biggest hit shows, like Dora the Explorer, that's Chris Gifford. He created it. He saw a need to represent Latino community, but not just one Latino community. He just dumped everyone in for Dora the Explorer. So this is the breakdown of the Bronx, because I live in the Bronx. I'm from close to Crotona Park, Freeman Street. Whoa. The dominant is Hispanic and Blacks. We think about the kids that are coming from Spanish-speaking households. Again, English is the preferred language, second is Spanish. And if we go by the amount of kids that are behind their literacy level, now these numbers, they come from the Board of Ed. These are not my numbers. So in the last 5 years, I've been concentrating on helping kids tell their authentic story so they could be the next generation of storytellers, for them to come from our communities to tell their story and for no one to steal their ideas. But guess what? It hasn't been that easy. So this is the facts and needs. The US government spends about $2.5 billion annually on literacy programs for both children and adults. So who will tell your children's story if you won't share it, you won't write it or do it? So that was my whole thing. Why I am the ideal leader is because one of the reasons I started writing this mission was because I lived it. I shared with my daughter her troubles. She started writing her own book. She wrote a book. And we started seeing the benefits of her becoming a writer. And then my son started doing his writing journey. And when I said, if I could do this with my kids, imagine with all kids in New York City. So my goal was to teach kids to write their stories, to be the heroes of their story. These are the catalogs of my work, some of them be featured on PBS. I did get to work with Disney Encanto. This has been my financial performances. Obviously, as you could tell, I need a little dinero. And my growth hurdles has been the New York City Board of Ed and organizations. There's a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lack of funding, lack of awareness. So I believe in sponsorship, education, and community impact. And how am I doing that? I pivoted. I'm not just focusing on the kids anymore. So community impact. I go wherever they tell me, we want to hear your story. Because it's not about me. How could I share my story si me quedo callada y nadie me quiere dar un dinero? Because it's not about money, it's about keeping it forward. My goal is through this program is to partner with someone that will believe in my mission, help remove some of those hurdles that I've been having. I'm not thinking so much about the financial aspect, although I would love it because I could hire 2 part-timers because it's been just me. So most of my work involves revolving awareness, providing education, and conducting outreach and inviting everyone to engage with our stories. So my question to you, the literacy affects Black and brown kids and Black and brown adults. If we continue seeing the literacy gap increase, how will our next generation of storytellers look like? They still might not be us.
Luz, thank you so much for sharing not only your story, your company and the work you're doing is it's very, very powerful. As somebody that has works with young people and children and understanding the need for literacy, even before all the other contestants arrived, I was talking with Junior and Haley about the literacy rate in the Dominican Republic, Yeah. And that's something that we all know. If there's literacy issues here in the Bronx, we can only imagine, in the Dominican Republic, So we were talking about that before everybody else arrived, because if people can't read, how can they move and progress, forward in their lives? So I just wanted to first, thank you for sharing that, and the work you're doing is very powerful. So I just want to get a better understanding of the business model of it, and the books. They're in Spanish, English.
So some of the books are bilingual, and some of them are in English. They all speak genuinely to my story and my kids' stories, but my belief is teaching the kids to write their own stories and trying to help kids, adults also, think about stories that they want to tell. And so it seems like I have a lot of business models, and I'm sorry for that, but what I notice is, as an businesspreneur, is that I had to pivot so many times because I had to find where the money is so people could find value. And companies don't really care about teaching. They just want to buy something and give it out, and that kind of solves one problem. So that's why I started doing that sponsorship opportunity. The community impact, that's where I find my families and my kids and my schools and my organizations.
What's the grades that most of your books target?
So most of my books are targeted from anywhere from nursery all the way to 3rd grade.
Luz Maria, I'm pretty sure that most of us share those same sentiments when it comes to literacy and how most of what's being taught out there, most of the books don't reflect our communities, right? My question, and first of all, how long have you had your company?
Honestly, I started doing it 10 years ago, but I didn't do business formation till the pandemic, only because, in all honesty, I didn't see anyone like me doing what I was doing, and I didn't know what to do.
I hear that you obviously want to do or are doing business with DOE. Are you currently a vendor for DOE?
I have the vendor login, the vendor number and everything like that, so that's one of the reasons why I've been trying to pitch to Board of businesses, but I'm also trying to get into with nonprofits that work with education.
Are you MWB certified?
I am not. That has been my challenge.
Gotcha. How are you going to make money?
So the books do bring revenue. It hasn't been the most because I've been still working on distribution channels with schools so they could purchase that. And also I wanted to teach, when I do teach in a class, for example, last semester I got to teach 3 schools, and they always secure me for $5,000 for 3 sessions. And that does make money if there's more schools and more nonprofits exposed. Apparently, there's a lot of bureaucracy, as I could tell you, because I've been doing a lot of workshops for free, just trying to secure the next opportunity. So I pivoted to selling the books in bulks for organizations that need to give donations out at one point in time. And an example of this is one of the biggest invoices I sent was to the Kevin Hart Studios. He asked me to send him an invoice for $80,000. He hasn't paid it, I'm being honest, but hey, that was amazing to send an invoice for $80,000.
So you have a purchase order out for $80,000 right now. Gotcha. My initial advice to you real quick, especially someone that does business with the state, federal government, and the city, is to work on your MWB certification, because your model of business obviously mostly conducts business with state agencies like Department of Education, and that's going to be your advantage, right? To search for those contracts, with public libraries and Department of Education, so you're able to pitch those buyers on why we should be able to change that model that we currently have in our schools. So definitely look into that.
Thank you, Luz. It sounds like it's been quite a journey, like every entrepreneurial journey. You've changed business models, you've pivoted according to feedback as you should. I heard a few different revenue streams, getting to Junior's point, like books, workshops, sponsorship. I think I heard you representing some authors as well. Like, what's the vision for the future?
So the vision is to do some things online for future authors that are interested in our communities. I do want to do it completely virtually because I noticed that there's a lot of, if I put a location to it, it also brings limitations for those that may not have access to me. So I'm trying to get that process going to do a 12-week workshop online so people could tune in and get the information they need and how they need it so they could publish their own books on their authentic voice. Now for things with me, like one-on-one, I haven't developed that as of yet because it's just me. And right now I've been pitching to schools, pitching to nonprofits, and and organizations, just looking ways to try to do that because that's where like my vision has been at.